What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome to my new channel. If you have followed me over from my main channel, you don't really need this introduction, but maybe you've stumbled upon this video because you're looking for Eagles content. You want to see reactions to this groundbreaking trade that has just come through. And this is my first video on this channel, so I thought I'd do a very quick introduction. I am C4. I have a main channel that is called C4. There is Madden content there. I play Madden 23. Go check that out. Over the last couple years, though, I have noticed that the YouTube robots don't really like it when you mix content together too much, or at least my channel was suffering because of it. And anytime I would mix in draft content, Eagles content with my Madden content, you know, things got a little funky. So I decided this year to take a leap of faith, make a secondary channel, more C4, and maybe make this the home of my Eagles content. Maybe make this the home of my mock drafts and positional rankings, and keep at least like the football video game stuff on the other channel, because I want to do Madden 23 stuff. We're going to have some NCAA stuff because we want to get back into that as the new college football game rolls out. But here on this channel, Eagles content, draft content, football content, maybe some Madden 22 on PC modded content could come in the works a little bit later in the cycle. But my primary focus, especially with the football season ramping up, is this is going to be my Philadelphia Eagles channel. And what a banger of a video! If we were going to make our debut, then talking about a groundbreaking trade that has happened here today. The Philadelphia Eagles are trading former second-round pick, wide receiver, converted to tight end. I'm going to assume he's moving back to wide receiver. JJ Arcega Whiteside to the Seattle Seahawks for DB Ugo Amadi. Now, does this really write itself? We literally are giving the team that drafted DK Metcalf for the guy that got clowned for getting drafted over DK Metcalf. It feels like there's some weird full circle thing happening here. Like, is this going to unlock the hidden potential of JJ Arcega Whiteside? Because the one guy that he's been constantly compared to, constantly roasted against, like maybe they're going to become best friends now, like a buddy cop movie. And it's going to flick the switch, and JJ Arcega Whiteside is going to become the jump ball specialist that he was hyped coming out of Stanford as being. And we never saw that in Philadelphia. I mean, he had, maybe one or two preseason games where he looked decent. Other than that, he's been completely non-existent. And, you know, I am seeing the other side of this where, you know, you look at the last little blurb here. Seattle had planned to release Ahmadi. They were able to find a trade partner instead, a fresh start for JJ Arcega Whiteside. So it's not like we fleeced anybody. This looked like two guys that were most likely going to be released, and both these teams were kind of interested, and they wanted to avoid the whole waivers process, the whole, you know, free-for-all. Any team can pick these guys. Like, all right, let's check them out. So as it relates to JJ Arcega Whiteside, it's over. He did absolutely nothing here in Philadelphia. I mean, he's justified his roster spot the last couple years because he's a good blocking tight end. Like, you know, that's why he made the move to tight end. Like, he pretty much would line up in the slot and block downfield. I don't even want to justify it by saying he was a blocking wide receiver. He was tight end. Because if you're a wide receiver, you have to catch the ball. And at least if you're like a tight end, you're a blocking tight end, you got like Nick Boyle on the Ravens, for example, like guys that like your job is you're basically an additional offensive lineman. That's what JJ Arcega Whiteside was. So he was just a body out there. He got in the way. Like, that's the scouting report. If you're a Seahawks fan and you're clicking on this video and you're like, well, you know, can we get something? You know, was there a little bit of talent, a little bit of something showcased in his time here in Philadelphia that I can give you guys some positive to go off of, and maybe your coaching staff can unlock? Absolutely not. This guy is trashed here. If you need a guy that can block downfield, it wasn't even like an ace on special teams. It wasn't even like he was able to justify his roster spot because of his special teams ability. He could block, and that's about it. And the reason why he could block is because he's like 6'3", 230 pounds. It's like if DK Metcalf cut his hands off and was way less athletic and wasn't half as cool, you'd get JJ Arcega Whiteside. But there is forever a meme of JJ Arcega Whiteside's mom with him at training camp, and it was a great meme. I would load it up right now, but you know, I don't want to put any more shit in this guy. I wish him the best of luck. Best of luck going forward. But what are we getting in return? We're getting Ugo Amadi, who was very, very productive at Oregon. I loaded up here his college stats, and things were pretty good. I remember he was nickel corner / a lot of people thought he probably would project more to safety just because lack of length. But he's 5'10", 195 pounds, and look at that production his final 2 years at Oregon. That's kind of what I want to focus in on, where he played slot corner in 2017, and then in 2018 made that switch to safety. in 2017, 4 picks. He had 21, I think the biggest thing was there was a point in time where he might have been the best secondary player on a pretty good Oregon secondary. Like, that was the year that they were recruiting. They had a lot of guys coming in the building around that time. And I think with Amadi, another thing could also be said is that Oregon DBs don't tend to translate overly well to the college game. Like, anytime there's a hyped up Oregon corner, hyped up Oregon safety, I'm hoping Javon Holland can kind of buck that trend a little bit. But it has seemed like Oregon has, they get the 4 stars, they get the 5 stars, they get that Nike money. But it does seem like the DBs don't have a super high success rate, super high hit rate. It's a little bit trending like my beloved Florida Gators. Florida has a lot of talent at corner. And unfortunately, we're optimistic that Kyer Elam is going to break the trend. And hopefully Buffalo Bills fans are as well. But as you can see with Ahmadi, he was productive in college. Lots of PBUs, lots of interceptions. And, tackle, he can tackle well. And then you look at the scouting report. This is a scouting report. I got Bleacher Report. It's not the, Bleacher Report's not the be-all, end-all when it comes to scouting. But we got strengths, team captain, and leader of the Ducks defense. Came as a corner recruit, spent time. So he has positional versatility. I think for the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't want to say the plan is that he's going to be anything in particular because he was about to be released by the Seattle Seahawks. And it's not like the Seahawks have some outstanding secondary. Yes, they've got Kobe Bryant, Tariq Woolen, and they brought some fresh blood in. Maybe they just want to move on and get the younger guys on the field. But it's it wouldn't be fair to say oh yeah, he's going to come in and compete for this spot or this spot because I don't even know how they're going to plan on using him. He could be top depth behind Avonte Maddox at slot, and maybe that says something to Kerry Vincent, Mac McCain, Tay Gowan for the depth guys. That, maybe Gannon's not in love with the depth that we have behind Avonte Maddox. I think, for me personally, it's a safety move. Our safety depth has not been particularly great. Jaquaski Tart has not been on the field a whole lot during training camp since we signed him. He was kind of hyped, right? He was one of the bigger names available on the open market late in free agency. So I'm going to guess that while the versatility is there, they're going to be viewing Amadi as a safety. He's an above average blitzer from the nickel position, able to disguise it, danger with the ball in his hands, had 4 touchdowns at Oregon on 3 pick sixes and a punt return. The weaknesses, slow to play the run and lacks a physical element to his game, so that's more of a free safety, you know what I'm saying? It's not like Anthony Harris, or, we haven't really had, it's been a minute since Philly's had a tone center back at safety. I mean, Rodney McLeod could lay the lumber, but even then you wouldn't classify him as a big hitter or as, I don't want to say that he was a good run defender, but not a great one, not an elite one. So it's not necessarily in Jonathan Gannon's scheme that the safeties have to be outstanding tacklers. It's obviously always a welcome addition, but it's not like we live and die by having excellent tackling safeties. Not an ideal matchup against tight ends, 5'9", all right, that's kind of lazy scouting. Not an excellent tackler for a safety, does more grabbing than wrapping up, so kind of go back to that first point, does not contest many receptions, loses 50-50 balls, and doesn't play well above the field. His pro comp was Carl Joseph, who's had a nice career in the NFL. And I think ultimately, if you look at the RAS score, so what kind of athlete are we getting? Usually here, Oregon Duck, you think this guy's going to be a terrific athlete. And, you like to see a little bit better RAS. The bench press was good. Obviously, the height, you can't really control that. 4.51 in the 40-yard dash. While it's not terrific, that's not slow. 4.51, that's plenty fast enough. But it's one of those things. I only remember him. If you ask me, C4, what do you think of Amadi? I mean, we just did on my main channel there, Seattle Seahawks rebuild to kick off the Madden 23. And we kept him on the roster for the time being. I was like, this guy here, I mean, he was a playmaker. I think about him. I reflect back to what he was like at Oregon. I was like, this is a guy that lives around the football, can make plays on the football, when the ball is in his hands, he can make guys miss and get you some good field position, if not take it all the way back to the house. But he's also one of those guys that's kind of in that bubble of he's a good football player, not a great athlete. And there's certainly a ceiling to those guys, especially if they can't catch on right away. So what does it mean for the Philadelphia Eagles? Well, it means we got JJ Arcega Whiteside off the roster. That era has come to a close. I don't want to take focus off of the main meat and potatoes of this, but we still got one more wide receiver that I would like to ideally see moved. I mean, Jalen Reagor didn't have that bad of a first preseason game. It almost was looking like they were trying to manufacture some touches for him. Maybe help that value on the old trade block. There was a rumor that maybe there's something there with the Ravens and Chuck Clark, and I think the Denver Broncos were a team that have kind of been linked around with Jalen Reagor. But I think it would be shroud business from Howie Roseman and company, if we can move on for JJ and Jalen Reagor, that kind of ushers in maybe a new era, get the stink of some of our busts out of the building, and kind of build off of the last 2 draft classes, which have looked very well, very good, very sexy for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I definitely want to hear what you guys think. Maybe in the comments, let me know your favorite JJ Arcega Whiteside moment, if there was one. Some of you this might be your favorite JJ Arcega Whiteside moment now that he's off the team. But hey, we got Ugo Amadi. I think for all things considered, given our secondary, a welcome addition to the secondary. Let's get him some preseason games. Let's get him in camp. Let's see if he can. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up making the 53. I'll put it that way. So happy to have a guy that has some playmaking ability. And again, I think probably more so going to view him as a, if I had to say one guy whose job that I had on the 53, and by him coming in the building could make things a little dicier, I kind of want to kind of side with Kavon Wallace, even though I love that pick out of Clemson. Yeah, and I don't think he had a bad first preseason game. I think that might be the guy whose job might have got a little less secure. But it's all about how they use him. I think they're going to love his versatility, the fact that he can play nickel, be depth there, and or safety, be depth there. That could provide his value as far as making the 53. But let me know what you guys think about this trade in the comment section below. Thank you very much for tuning into the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Really want to try to get this channel up to 1,000 subs right away so we can get everything unlocked and I can start streaming and doing cool stuff like that. But thank you guys very much for watching. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out. Go Birds.